It's already done. And nobody's saying it out loud yet. But the phone calls behind the scenes. They've started. Stop. Rewind. Because what you just saw on that video was not the story. That was the cover. The real one just leaked, and it's worse than anybody is typing in the comments. By the time the world catches up, he's already gone. Allegedly. Okay, y'all. Sit down. Lock the door. Turn the phone on Do Not Disturb. Because what I'm about to walk you through is the kind of mess that doesn't just trend for a week. This is the kind of mess that ends careers, rewrites NFL seasons, and gets entire publicists fired by Friday. And the wildest part, the woman everybody was rooting for might be the same woman who just pulled the pin on the grenade. Allegedly. Let me say her name softly so the algorithm don't get mad. Cardi B. Yeah, that one. The same Cardi B that everybody, and I mean everybody, said was finally healing, finally glowing, finally winning, finally with a man who respects her. Honey, honey, honey. That respect just walked out the building, grabbed its jacket, kissed its mama, and ain't coming back. And the man it walked out on. Stefon Diggs. The wide receiver. The NFL star. The man who, until about 2 weeks ago, was being looked at as the league's quietest comeback story. Now, insiders are repeating one sentence on a loop, and the sentence is short, and the sentence is brutal. She just cost him everything. MHM, sit with that one. Roll it around in your mouth. Because it's not going anywhere. Now let me back this up. Because if you missed Tisa's video yesterday, bless her heart, she was on it before any of us had our coffee. You missed the inciting incident. And I'm gonna give it to you the way it was given to me. No chaser. No filter. No PR spin. No rhinestones on the spin either. Cardi rolled up on Stefon. In public. Not in private. Not on a phone call. Not in a DM. In front of cameras. In front of fans. In front of people whose phones were already lifted halfway in the air because they smelled the moment before it happened. And Cardi went off. Yelling. Pointing. Lighting up the sidewalk like a Bronx July 4th. In front of God, the NFL, every podcast bro on the East Coast, and Stefon's entire publicist's nightmare hotline. And what did Stefon do? MHM. That is the part. That is the exact frame that flipped this whole story upside down. Because Stefon Diggs, a man with a history, a man with lawsuits, a man with allegations attached to his name like baggage at the airport, that man stood there, hands in pockets, face like a poker championship final, eyes dead, voice quiet, posture flat, didn't raise his voice, didn't raise his hand, didn't raise an eyebrow. He just stood there, like a man who already knew the cameras were watching. Like a man who already knew whoever moved first was the one going home with the bill. And while everybody on Twitter was laughing at the meme, while TikTok was looping the clip with the slowed down sad violin, while every gossip channel was screaming Cardi snapped. Cardi snapped. Something else was happening. Quietly. Underneath. In the rooms where the decisions actually get made. Stefon's phone started ringing. And not from fans. Not from family. From the kind of people who don't leave voicemails. From the kind of people who don't text twice. From the kind of people whose contact name in your phone is just an initial and a building number. And the message every single one of them allegedly delivered. Same sentence. Word for word. Bro. She just ruined you. Let that simmer. Because that one sentence is the whole reason this video exists. Insiders, and when I say insiders I mean the kind of mouths that whisper to Tisa, to B, to Ruby, to the rooms behind the rooms. Those mouths are saying Stefon got told, point blank, that little public moment may have potentially ended his entire NFL career. Not paused. Not bruised. Ended. Closed. File the box. And the proof. Look at what Cardi did the very next day. Don't take my word for it. Look at it with your own 2 eyeballs. She didn't post a baby photo. Didn't post a heart. Didn't post a soft launch reconciliation reel. No. This woman, the same woman who was just publicly cussing him out, she sat down at her phone like a junior intern at ESPN and built a comparison graphic. Cardi B, putting together a slideshow comparing Stefon Diggs' stats to other wide receivers in the league. Look how good he is. Look at these numbers. Look at this man's career. You do not go from I'm gonna drag you in the middle of the street to look how talented my boyfriend is at football in 24 hours unless somebody, somewhere, sat you down at a glass table with a glass of water and said, baby, you are about to take this man's whole bag down with you. Fix it. Fix it now. Fix it before the front offices file it. That post wasn't love. That post was damage control. That post was PR triage with rhinestones glued to the front of it. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Now here's where it gets juicy. Because the same insiders calling Stefon's phone to tell him his career is in the morgue. Those same insiders are saying something else, and this is the part the labels and the leagues don't want printed anywhere. They are saying Cardi B was never supposed to be the main course. She was the appetizer, the industry bait, the fun, the temporary, the let me get my name back in headlines, let me sit courtside with somebody famous for a season, let me ride the Cardi wave for a few highlight reels and bounce. That, allegedly, was the plan. The plan was never love. The plan was never forever. The plan was a controlled little PR fling with an expiration date stapled to the front of the contract. And then, she got pregnant, allegedly, and the appetizer became a contract. A real one, with consequences, with paperwork, with a last name attached. You hear me? A contract. Stefon Diggs allegedly signed up for a season and ended up with a lifetime. And once that test turned blue, the entire game changed. Now he can't quietly slip out. Now he can't ghost. Now he can't pretend the chapter was never written. Now the chapter is wearing his last name and growing teeth. And one day that chapter is going to ask him a question at a dinner table, and he is going to have to answer it with his whole chest. And this right here, is the part that brings us full circle. Because some of y'all in the comments, some of y'all in the back corners of this gossip internet, you remember. A few months ago I told you to keep an eye on a certain playlist. Remember, I said, and I'm gonna quote myself because I'm petty and I'm right, I said, I am going to make predictions in these Cardi and Stefon videos, and at the time you're going to think the predictions are crazy, but as time passes, they're going to age like fine wine on a Tuesday. Well, Tuesday is here, baby, and the wine is popping, and the cork is somewhere on the ceiling. You want to know which prediction is aging the loudest right now? MHM. Here it is. I said, by the time we're done watching Cardi B and Stefon Diggs, the entire internet is going to look back and realize that Offset, that same Offset that y'all crucified, dragged, memified, and ratioed into the next time zone. Offset was never the problem Cardi painted him to be. And I said it with my whole chest. And I'm saying it again louder, for the rows in the back. Look up. The bird is here. The chickens. Roosting. The receipts. Folding themselves. The prediction? Aging like a barrel of bourbon in a Kentucky basement. Because every single time Cardi pulled a public stunt, Offset went silent. Every single time Cardi escalated, Offset disappeared. Every single time the world tried to bait him into responding, Offset said absolutely nothing. He took the blame. He took the press. He took the slander. He took the bottle thrown at wireless. He took the soft launches with new women being labeled as cope. He took the memes. He took the disrespect. He took all of it. And we, the gossip-watching public, said, yeah, well, he's a cheater. He deserved it. Did he, though? All of it? Every drop? Because what insiders are now whispering, and I want you to write this down somewhere your mama can't find it, is that some of the things Cardi B allegedly did to that man behind closed doors are the kind of things that, if he opened his mouth one good time, would shift the entire public narrative in 24 hours flat. We're talking about root work. We're talking about candles. We're talking about photographs in places photographs should not be. Hair in places hair should not be. Allegedly. 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 Listen, I'm a journalist of the streets, not the courtroom. I have to say allegedly. It's a load-bearing word. But the streets ain't whispering anymore. The streets are speaking at a normal indoor conversational volume now. And what the streets are saying, at indoor volume, is that she is running the same playbook on Stefon. Same playbook. Different jersey. Different city. Same candles. Allegedly. And that is why the podcast bros finally turned. And when I tell y'all this is a turning point, this is a turning point. This is the turning point. If you have been on this gossip internet for more than 5 minutes, you already know what I'm about to say. The podcast bros have been Cardi B's army. Her shield. Her hype men. Her unsolicited public defenders for years. Every time something went down, every time a chef leaked a screenshot, every time an ex-bestie dropped a podcast appearance, every time a pre said this or an Offset said that, those men lined up like a defensive front and they swung for her. Every single time. They loved the raunchiness. They loved the chaos. They loved that she didn't fit the good girl mold. They built her up while building every other woman in entertainment down. They made entire YouTube careers out of defending her. But this week something shifted in the atmosphere. For the first time in a long time, and I'm watching it happen in real time with my own eyes, the podcast bros are not defending her. They are not. Pull up any clip from this week. Watch them sit on those leather couches, headphones half off, looking at the public showdown footage. And listen, really listen, to what they're saying. They're saying the thing. They're saying, Stefon run. Bro run. And the reason they're saying it isn't because they suddenly grew morals overnight. Please, don't insult my intelligence. They're saying it because they know the league. They know the contracts. They know how front offices think. They know that when a wide receiver with prior baggage gets dragged into a public shouting match by a multi-platinum rapper with a global megaphone, the front office is not watching the romance. The front office is watching the liability column on the spreadsheet, and the liability column just turned red. And here's the kicker, and this part you have to really hear me on. The podcast bros are saying that Stefon had just barely climbed back into the good graces of the NFL. He had just won that case with Maya. Yeah, Maya. Don't act like you forgot. The case where the text messages painted a picture, but the verdict said not enough. He cleared that. He walked. He got the legal stamp on his forehead. And that one quiet win, was what made teams start sliding back into his email. That was the moment the comeback became real. That was the moment careers get rebuilt in this league. And then, Cardi rolled up on him in public. And now those same teams are quietly, allegedly, pulling back. Not officially. Not in a press release. But behind the scenes, in the war rooms, in the front offices, in the GM phone calls at 11 p.m. on a Wednesday, those teams are sitting back in their leather chairs and asking the question every one of them is too smart to text, but too worried to ignore. How long until the next public meltdown? How long until the next viral clip? How long until our wide receiver becomes a page 6 headline instead of a Sunday highlight reel? How long until we're the team that has to write the apology statement? That is the question that ends careers. That, right there. That question, asked in a leather chair in a glass office with a folder on the desk. That question has ended more NFL careers than concussions, contracts, and cocaine combined. And let me drop a piece of advice that I want everybody in this comment section to copy, paste, screenshot, frame, and tattoo on the inside of their wrist where only they can see it. Be very careful about the friends you keep. Because I see y'all in my comments excusing reckless behavior like it's a personality trait. Well, if you're perfect, throw the first stone. Sit down. Sit all the way down. Take your shoes off. Get comfortable. Because we use that scripture like it's a coupon code at checkout for bad behavior. We use it to dodge accountability. We use it to dodge growth. We use it to dodge becoming better versions of ourselves at the exact moment life is offering us the chance. Your friends are supposed to challenge you toward your best self, not normalize your worst. If your friend group is full of women who tell you, girl, you're right, drag him in public, and not a single one of them is the friend who says, girl, sit down, drink water, think about your bag. You don't have friends. You have an audience. And audiences leave when the show stops being entertaining. If you are using anything Cardi B is doing right now as a blueprint for how to move in your own life, baby, you are cooked, burnt, crispy, done, fried in 2 oils. None of what she is doing should be a guideline. The only way to use it correctly is as a teachable moment, as a what not to do, as a flashing yellow caution sign on the highway of your own life. Otherwise, close the tab. Go outside. Touch some grass that isn't AstroTurf at MetLife Stadium. Now back to the story, because there's another layer most people aren't peeling back yet. And this layer? This is the layer that's actually got the front offices sweating through their dress shirts. While Cardi is out here trying to repair the damage with these athlete comparison posts, the world is also looking at something else. Something quieter. Something darker. The world is looking at Stefon Diggs' brother. Trayvon. Yeah, the other Diggs. The one whose name does not get said as much anymore. The one who was terminated from his last NFL contract because of habits, behavior, and allegations that mirrored, at an uncomfortable distance, some of the things floating around Stefon's own name. And now the league is sitting there with a folder on the desk. The folder is labeled Diggs. Inside the folder, lawsuits, abuse allegations, habits, whispers, a brother's resume, court dates, settlement amounts, NDAs and legalese. And then on top of that folder, laid right across the front like a cherry on a melting sundae, is a fresh screenshot of Cardi B yelling at Stefon Diggs in public, time-stamped, dated, cataloged. You think they're not connecting dots? They are connecting dots. They are sitting in those rooms and they are saying, we can't sign that. We cannot sign that. We've been here before. We've watched this movie. We know how it ends. The third act is always a press conference. So the podcast bros, yeah, those same podcast bros, are now saying out loud what the front offices are saying behind closed doors. Cardi B is no longer an asset. She is a liability. She is a walking PR fire. She is a press release waiting to be written. And the cruelest part of the entire equation? The part that hurts a little even if you didn't sign up to feel anything today. While all of this is happening, the other women in Stefon's life, the baby mamas, the exes, the chefs, the chess pieces, they are sitting quiet. Quiet. They are keeping it clean. They are keeping it contained. They are keeping it cute. They are not yelling at red carpets. They are not posting screenshots at 2 a.m. They are not creating viral moments. They are letting the universe do their dirty work for them while sipping their tea, eating their muffin, and watching the show unfold like premium cable. And honey, the universe is delivering. On time. with 2-day shipping. No signature required. Now here is where I'm going to drop a piece of speculation that the algorithm is going to make me put a tiny alleged sticker on, but you and I both know what it is. People close to the situation are saying that even if there are no more public spots, even if Stefon and Cardi never argue on camera again, not one single more time, not even at a gas station, the stress is happening behind the scenes. The stress is happening in the kitchen. The stress is happening in the bedroom. The stress is happening in the car ride home from practice when nobody is talking and the radio is off. The stress is happening in the group chat. The stress is happening in the assistant's email inbox at 2 a.m. And stress at home does not stay at home. Stress at home walks onto the field on Sunday. Stress at home drops the ball on 3rd and long. Stress at home runs the wrong route on a deep post. Stress at home turns a comeback story into a what could have been mini documentary that ESPN airs at 2 p.m. on a Wednesday when nobody is watching. And that is the part the NFL fears more than any viral clip. Because a viral clip is a moment. A moment passes. A moment becomes a meme, then a sticker, then a forgotten tab. But stress? Stress is a season. Stress is 16 games. Stress is an asterisk next to a stat line. Stress is the difference between a renewed contract and a phone call from your agent that starts with "so, here's the thing." So when the podcast bros are saying Stefon needs to run, what they really mean is, the math no longer maths. The cost of being publicly attached to Cardi B has officially exceeded the value of being publicly attached to Cardi B. And in the NFL, in any league, in any industry, in any career, the day your romance starts costing more than it's bringing in, your romance becomes a business decision. And business decisions don't have feelings. Business decisions don't send flowers. Business decisions don't say we can work on it. But here's the twist. Here's the part nobody wants to say out loud at the podcast table. The reason, the alleged reason, Stefon hasn't already cut and run is because he allegedly can't. Allegedly. Because if those whispers about candles and photographs and root work and bedside hush-hush are even half true, half true, a sliver of true, Stefon Diggs is not a man making clear-headed decisions right now. He is a man trapped in a fog he doesn't know how to walk out of. He is a man who started this as a contract, and now cannot tell where the contract ends and where the curse begins. And the wildest thing? The wildest, most cinematic, this is a Netflix limited series thing, is that this man is allegedly experiencing what Offset allegedly experienced for years. The same fog, the same loop, the same gravity, the same waking up at 3 a.m., not sure why. And every man who watched Offset get dragged through the public square is now watching Stefon walk into the exact same square in the exact same shoes. And they are whispering one thing to each other off camera, in DMs, in voice notes, in late-night phone calls. Bro, he's next. He's literally next. Now look, I am not here to canonize Stefon Diggs. Please understand that. Please write that down. Please tattoo that on the other wrist. This man has lawsuits. This man has abuse allegations. This man has a track record that reads like a season of true crime. This man has a brother whose name lives in folders. This man has, allegedly, done things that absolutely deserve their own 3-part docuseries with chapter markers and a moody saxophone score in the background. He is not the victim of this story. He is a character in this story. A morally complicated character. The kind of character that in a Netflix series would have his face on the poster. But you would still be unsure, episode by episode, if you were rooting for him or rooting for the universe to humble him. But what's interesting, and this is the part that even the podcast bros are now acknowledging on those leather couches with their soundproof foam in the background, is that his drama, before Cardi, was contained, private, settled in courtrooms, settled with NDAs, settled with checks signed with a fountain pen, quiet. The kind of drama the NFL has historically been very, very good at sweeping into the locker room and locking the door behind. The kind of drama where you say no comment 3 times in a row, in 3 different tones of voice, and a publicist makes a problem disappear by Tuesday afternoon while you're eating a salad. Cardi B does not do quiet. Cardi B does fireworks. Cardi B does platforms. Cardi B does megaphones with rhinestones glued on the side. Cardi B is a one-woman press release factory operating 24 hours a day. And once Cardi B got involved in Stefon's life, his drama became our drama. Not the NFL's drama. Ours. Not the front office's problem. The fans' entertainment. And once your drama becomes entertainment, it becomes content. And once it becomes content, it becomes never-ending. It becomes the gift that keeps on giving for everybody except the man at the center of it. This is the part the front offices cannot forgive. They could forgive the lawsuits. They could forgive the brother. They could forgive the case with Maya. They could forgive the texts. They could forgive almost everything, because they have forgiven worse, for less talented men, in less consequential seasons. What they cannot forgive is the spotlight. The endless, blinding, never blinking, 24-hour spotlight that Cardi B carries with her wherever she goes. Because that spotlight makes their private problems public, and public problems cost money. Real money. Sponsor money. Jersey sale money. Coaching staff PR retainer money. Stadium naming rights money. And money is the only language a front office speaks fluently. Everything else is translated. Pause. Breathe. Drink some water. Because we are about to enter the part of the video where I tell you what I really think, not what the podcast bros are saying, not what the insiders are whispering, not what TMZ is hinting, but what I, with my chest, with my receipts, with my pattern recognition that has been finely tuned over years of watching this exact thing happen in different costumes, what I actually believe is going to happen next. I believe Stefon Diggs is going to get signed. I do. I think a team will take a calculated risk on him this season. Why? Because the NFL has a short memory and a long bench. Because there is always a coach willing to bet on talent over reputation. Because there is always a GM with something to prove and a press conference rehearsed in the mirror. And because Stefon, on his best day, is still one of the most physically gifted wide receivers in the league, and gifted wide receivers always, eventually get a phone call. The phone call comes late. The phone call comes with conditions. But the phone call comes. But here is what I also believe. I believe that once he gets signed, the pressure to drop Cardi B will be louder than it has ever been. Not from the public. Not from Twitter. Not from TikTok stitches. From inside the building. From the locker room. From his agent. From his publicist. From his mother. From his brother. From every single person whose paycheck is tied to his performance. From the security guard who has to escort her out of the parking lot. From the team chaplain who has been praying about it. And I believe, and this is the prediction y'all are going to screenshot and bookmark and send to your group chats, that Stefon Diggs is eventually going to do something that looks, from the outside, like a cold, calculated, brutal exit. He is going to start treating her like he doesn't know her. Like a stranger. Like an associate. Like somebody he met at a club one time, exchanged numbers with, and never followed back. He is going to stop responding the same way. He is going to stop showing up the same way. He is going to get cold. And he is going to get cold quickly. Faster than anyone expects. And eventually, and write this down, timestamp this video, screenshot this paragraph, he is allegedly going to do the one thing that breaks whatever alleged hold she has on him. He is going to get another woman pregnant. Because in the world of these whispers, in the world of candles and photographs and bedside whispers, the only way out, according to the people who believe in this stuff, is to break the link. And the loudest, most public, most undeniable way to break the link is to publicly start a new one. Allegedly. With somebody new. With somebody softer. With somebody who does not own a megaphone. I know. Some of y'all are typing already. Your thumbs are warming up. How can you say that? I can say it because I am watching the pattern. I am watching the receipts stack. I am watching the same playbook run twice on different field. And patterns don't lie. People lie. PR teams lie. Soft launch reconciliations lie. Comparison graphics lie. Patterns just keep showing up like an unpaid bill on the 15th of every month. And while all of this is unfolding, while the front offices are calculating, while the podcast bros are pivoting, while the insiders are whispering, while the comparison posts are being filtered and refiltered, Cardi B is sitting there, phone in hand, allegedly, becoming, in the words of every man who used to defend her, what nobody thought she would ever become, a liability. A bigger one than Offset. Because at least Offset, in his version of this story, was quiet about his sins. Cardi is photographing hers and posting them on her grid with a caption and a heart emoji. Moo Pro Maximum. That's all I'm gonna say. Moo Pro Maximum. If you know, you know. If you don't, scroll the playlist. It's in there. Episode 3. Bookmarked. Now before we wrap this up, because trust me, I have to wrap it up before YouTube starts handing me yellow dollar signs and demonetization warnings and emails from a robot named Susan. I want to say something directly to the people in the comments who are already loading the cannons. To the ones who are gonna say, you're being too hard on Cardi. To the ones who are gonna say, Stefon deserves whatever he gets. To the ones who are gonna say, why are you defending a man with lawsuits? I am not defending anybody. I am telling you a story. I am laying out a pattern. I am pointing at the receipts on the table and asking you, politely, to look at them with your own two eyes. This is not a Team Cardi versus Team Stefon video. This is a watch how the universe collects, with interest, on a schedule video. Both of these people have done things. Both of these people are doing things. Both of these people are about to have to live with what they have done. The difference is, one of them is going to be doing it in front of 70,000 fans on a Sunday afternoon under stadium lights, and the other one is going to be doing it on a stage with a microphone and a tour bus and a sold-out crowd, And the rest of us, every last one of us, are going to be doing it on TikTok with our duets and our stitches and our 6-second hot takes. The story isn't over. MHM. The story is not over. The story is barely in Act 2. The cliffhanger of Act 2 is hanging in the air right now, swinging from a chandelier with one screw left in the ceiling. And Act 3. Act 3 is going to make Act 2 look like a warm-up exercise, like stretches before the real workout. So keep your notifications on, keep your screenshots saved, keep your playlists organized and your bookmarks tidy, because the next domino is already wobbling. I can see it. The insiders can see it. The podcast bros can see it. The front offices can see it. The folder on the desk can see it. The only person who doesn't seem to see it yet, or doesn't want to see it yet, is the one holding the phone, posting the wide receiver comparison graphic at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday like that's going to fix anything. It's not going to fix anything. It's going to age. Like everything else. Just give it a season. Tell me what you think in the comments. Tell me if you think Stefon gets signed and which team takes the chance. Tell me if you think Cardi was actually trying to help or actually trying to cover. Tell me which prediction you think is going to land first. And tell me, honestly, with your whole chest, at what point in this video did you stop reading the gossip and start watching a movie unfold in real time? Because that's what this is. A movie. And we are all, every single one of us, extras in the background. Quietly hoping the credits don't roll before the truth does. Talk to y'all in the comments section. The story is not over. The story is barely beginning. And the next time we sit down together for one of these, and we will, baby, we will, the universe has scheduled it. Somebody's name is going to be missing from a roster, somebody's playlist is going to be missing from a tour, and somebody, somewhere, is going to look up at the ceiling at 3 a.m. and say the same sentence that's been echoing in every front office in America this week. I should have ran when I had the chance. But hold on. Before you click off. Before you go scroll to the next gossip channel. There is one more thread I have to pull, because if I don't pull it tonight, I am going to be pulling it next week, and the algorithm doesn't reward me for being early. The algorithm rewards me for being right. Look at the timeline. Just look at it. Strip away the personalities, strip away the names, strip away the rhinestones and the jerseys and the headlines, and just look at the dates. Cardi B's last album cycle was wrapping up right around the time Stefon Diggs' case with Maya was wrapping up. Coincidence? Sure, maybe. Coincidences happen. But then layer on top of that, the moment Cardi needed a press refresh, Stefon was suddenly courtside. The moment Stefon needed a public-facing positive narrative, Cardi was suddenly soft-launching. The moment one of them had a quiet week, the other one had a loud one. Their PR calendars line up like a synchronized swimming routine, and nobody is talking about it. Until now. And let me say one more thing that I want the women in this audience to really hear. Because most of these gossip videos are made for entertainment. This one I want to be made for something else. I want this one to plant a flag in your spirit. If a man's family will not say your name in their group chat, you do not belong in their group photo. Period. If his mother is cold to you, if his brother avoids you, if his ex-best friend went quiet on the day you got introduced, those are not coincidences. Those are warnings written in invisible ink, and life is going to keep handing you the lemon juice until you read them. Cardi B got handed a whole bottle of lemon juice. The pages were lit up like Times Square. She just chose not to read them. And now the rest of us are reading them for her, in public, on YouTube, in 4K with chapter markers. And while I have you, while we're here, while the candles in the back of this metaphorical room are still burning, let me drop one more name. Pri. Yeah, Pri. The bestie. The former bestie. The we'll see what happens bestie. Because every single insider that has whispered into the gossip ear this year has said the same thing about Pri's involvement. Nothing is accidental. Nothing in this story is accidental. Not the public showdown. Not the comparison post. Not the timing of the case with Maya being resolved. Not the soft launch baby news. Not the way Stefon's hands stayed in his pockets like he had been rehearsing for that moment in the bathroom mirror for 2 weeks straight. Not one of those things is a coincidence. They are dominoes. And somebody, somewhere, a publicist, a friend, a frenemy, a former bestie with a grudge and a ring light, set the first one up. Now I want you to picture the boardroom. Not the gossip podcast. The boardroom. The real one. Mahogany. Coffee that costs $11 a cup. 3 GMs, 2 team owners, 1 league rep, and a folder open in the middle of the table. The folder is labeled Diggs, S. Inside the folder, neatly tabbed, prior lawsuits, prior settlements, the brothers' exit interview from the league, the Maya verdict, the public showdown screenshot, and at the very back, the comparison graphic Cardi posted at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday. They are going to look at that comparison graphic, and they are going to know what it is. They are not stupid. They did not get their offices by being stupid. They are going to know that graphic is damage control, and they are going to write one note in the margin, in pencil, in handwriting nobody else will ever see. Risk. That one word. That one pencil mark. That is the difference between an $8 million deal and a tryout. And one more thought, because I'm running long and the algorithm is going to start flashing warnings at me. The most dangerous moment in any celebrity relationship is not the breakup. It's not the public fight. It's not even the viral clip. The most dangerous moment is the silence right after. The silence when the cameras leave. The silence when the publicists stop calling. The silence when the podcast bros pivot. The silence when the comparison post doesn't go viral the way you thought it would. Because in that silence, both people in the relationship finally hear themselves think. And what they think, in that silence, decides what happens next. Cardi is in that silence right now. Stefon is in that silence right now. And whatever they decide, alone, with the lights off, with the phone face down on the nightstand, that decision is going to be the entire next chapter of this story. And we don't get to see it. We only get to see the headline that comes after. One last thing. Then I go. Because the people in the back row deserve a takeaway too. If you only remember one sentence from this entire video, remember this one. Every public moment a celebrity has is a contract being negotiated in real time, and the only person at the table without a lawyer is the one who thinks it's love. Stefon thought it was business. Cardi thought it was love. The front offices thought it was content. The fans thought it was a meme. And somewhere in the middle of all four of those interpretations, a real life is being lived, with real consequences, by two real people who probably wish on the worst nights that the cameras had never showed up at all. And I'll leave you with this. The universe does not forget. The universe keeps an excellent set of books. Every public moment is a deposit. Every private cruelty is a withdrawal. And one day the statement comes in the mail, and you sit down at the kitchen table, and you read it, and you realize the balance has been zero for a long, long time. That day is coming for somebody in this story. I don't know which one yet, but it is coming. And when it does, you and I will be right back here, in this comment section, watching it happen together in real time, screenshotting every frame. Until then, lock in. Save the playlist. Trust the pattern. The story is not over. It's barely just begun. And I'll leave you with this. The universe does not forget. The universe keeps an excellent set of books. Every public moment is a deposit. Every private cruelty is a withdrawal. And one day the statement comes in the mail, and you sit down at the kitchen table, and you read it, and you realize the balance has been zero for a long, long time. That day is coming for somebody in this story. I don't know which one yet, but it is coming. And when it does, you and I will be right back here, in this comment section, watching it happen together in real time, screenshotting every frame. Until then, lock in. Save the playlist. Trust the pattern. The story is not over. It's barely just begun. And I'll leave you with this. The universe does not forget. The universe keeps an excellent set of books. Every public moment is a deposit. Every private cruelty is a withdrawal. And one day the statement comes in the mail, and you sit down at the kitchen table. Peace.